I was actually thinking of doing something a little different today. Because I'm going to do the spring equinox energy. This is going to be on Saturday. Hey! How are you doing, Carla? I was going to go over the spring equinox, which is going to be happening at 2:37 a.m. PST, 5:37 Eastern. It's like whatever time zone you're in. It's going to be early morning. But I'm going to do the kind of energy for the equinox. And then what I'm going to do after, I'm going to change the camera to my space, and I'm actually going to do the AstroDice. I'm going to do it by element. So it's pretty much, sun, moon, rising, and you can do your Venus as well. And I'll go over kind of what each of them would tie into if you're not sure. But, yeah, I'm going to do that for each element. You can kind of take how that helps too, because I thought that was a pretty interesting idea because it's almost like getting zodiac readings. So I'm either going to do element or I'll just roll the same element for different signs. I haven't decided yet. But I'm going to be doing that after reading this equinox energy. But I do gotta say though, what's interesting, even though it looks like this, the first thing I got when I looked, because sometimes I kind of, I know sometimes I'll say little things like someone's chart reminds me of a joke thing, that kind of prankster energy. This one seems really calm. I haven't really looked at it yet, but just pulling it up, I felt like it was calm, which is really interesting. So I'm going to go through and see what actually makes it that way. So first thing I do want to tell you guys is if you have any late Scorpio planets in your chart, basically what's going to be happening is anywhere between 26 to pretty much the last bit of 29, even a little bit going into Cancer because the odd is 2 degrees. That very first 0 something of Cancer, it will. Oh wait, no, not over here. I meant I'm looking in the wrong spot, guys. But what I meant is the last little bit and then going maybe into the 0 of Scorpio and Sagittarius is going to make a yod to this Gemini moon on the equinox. So very late Scorpio and barely a smidge into Sagittarius. But it's because of that degree that it's still going to do that. Also, any late degree Leo, as long as it's between 24 and 28, because this Pluto is a little less degree than this moon over here. So for it to make that in conjunct over here, you could have a Pluto yod point. But yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and go over that with you guys because there was an inconjunct right here. So I'll kind of explain this inconjunct energy. With it being Pluto and the moon, and Pluto being our depths, different transformation, things like that, this being in this grounded sign of Capricorn, and having this inconjunct with the moon being in this air energy. Basically, even though it may seem like these energies wouldn't work well together, it actually is very useful because it grounds the air that's kind of going crazy in the moon. It steadies the thoughts, especially with things dealing deep traumas and things like that. for some of us, even though it's kind of scary because in conjunct kind of has polarizing energy where 7 and 10 degrees, yeah, you won't be having that yod. Yeah, I did mention degrees because for the Pluto one going from Leo, it's going to be 24 to 28 degrees. So it's going to be like way up towards the end for it to make that Pluto thing. For it to be Scorpio, it's got to be between 26 and it can be just a little past into Sagittarius, like that very beginning zero, like something like 0 something minutes of Sagittarius. It would still be considered it because it's in 2 degrees. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of relieved too that mine's not doing anything with that. It's doing stuff with other things, but it's like at least it's okay with this because Mars is sitting right on my sun. That's part of mine. And then Saturn's exact degree, my sun, so it's trining that. I got a lot of exact things going on, so it's like, okay. But that's kind of what happens with me is I just get exact degrees whenever I look at stuff. But this energy, even though it'll be kind of scary, it's going to be very, how can I put this? It's going to relieve a lot of stress, especially if you've been dealing with, because Gemini is really about the mind and the thoughts, and you've been having a lot of very rapid thoughts that deal with like emotions or a lot of information. And this could even be like even rapid intuition, kind of like upgrades and stuff because of all the information. It can be very exhausting, and having this energy over here in Pluto, even though it's something that creates that deep dive and it might be scary, it also will ground us and make us feel like we have a little more safety, because it's almost like trying to balance it out, but at the same time not like in opposition. So it could be that's why it's bringing a little bit of peace, but it's not necessarily like we are being, like other inconjuncts. I don't feel like other ones where it's like trying to push us completely away. This is more of like a feeling of we might be a little scared of what this is going to bring on. But overall, like I can see like Friday through the weekend, like a lot of us that have really been working on stuff, making a lot of headway with this, even if it's scary. Now that's just that in conjunct over there. So let's go and talk a little further. Like let's go into some Aquarius energy. Now, with Saturn being at 10 degrees right now, it's doing quite a bit because not only do we have it I cannot talk today. Not only do we have it sextiling Chiron, but it's really close. Like the sun just needs to move a little bit more, which will happen over the weekend for a sextile with the sun. This thing is like sitting direct degree on top of my Mars because my Mars is 1 degree. But these energies are going to make it almost like those opportunities. Like I said, this is like the more I look at it, like I said, the very first thing I felt was like an energy of peace. But having a sextile between this healing energy and this karmic energy over here, it's pretty much like creating that opportunity once again to kind of dive deeper and finally bring some closure to situations. This could also, just like how Pluto's trying to do, this can be creating a foundation, especially if we've been tearing down a lot of structures within ourselves. This can definitely create a foundation for us to start building up, especially if we've been going through what just seems like way too much heavy stuff lately. It could literally been either us working through our own karma, family karma being tied into that too, which is a little rougher for us than the actual like self, because this would be healing of the self. when it's kind of going to family, for a lot of people, it's going to be more of either the way we represent ourselves to the world, like changing that, because, and it's unexpected too. It's like a lot of it's going to be very uncomfortable when it comes to family. When it comes to our own communication, this could be our own self talk, which is, like I was saying, if we've been overloaded with so much of this Gemini energy, it's pretty much going to be helping us to start clearing some things away and making more sense of it, because this is like us talking to ourselves differently. And once again, tying in Gemini energy, because the third house is Gemini energy. So having this, like I was saying, we have, I'm going to go on to the Gemini energy now from the Saturn. So having this, we're going to have trines from both the North Node and from Mars. So this is creating this place for things to flow very easily. This can be both good and bad, because when there is an open flow between energies, you got to watch out for overdoing it, especially when the North Node is involved, because it can make us feel almost obsessive over certain things. And when this is dealing with creativity, some of us could literally like change up our looks because we're becoming very obsessive with certain things we aren't dealing with. Like I said, this is going to be that kind of energy, especially since Pluto's in the first two. It's like trying to find that comfort in the energy of knowing we don't have to change a whole lot about ourselves in order to feel accepted. And that's like a radical, like internal breakdown of certain energies. This could also mean that we start just getting very creative in a healthy way, like finding a lot of outlets finally, because having Mars in Gemini, it's like you start finding a lot of interests, because Gemini is like very adaptable. It likes finding things to where it kind of just keeps adding. And the more information it gets, the more ideas it gets. It's almost like you want to create, speak, whatever it is. It's like you just get a lot of energy to do these things. And like I said, with it mixing with North Node, it kind of gives it this amp where it's like we're all trying to find what it is that's our best creative outlet. Like we have that drive because we're having so many ideas. And this in itself can also bring a lot of healing, which it's also sextiling. Both of these are sextiling Chiron. So once again, we have this other, which I'm pretty sure in astrology is called a kite, with the trine and the two sextiles. But with having these two energies going once again to healing, this is trying to show us that we are being given opportunities to heal inner child as well. It seems like everything that is dealing with ourselves personally is being given opportunities to kind of work through, whereas family is still going to be kind of difficult. So if you've been struggling with relationships with family, it's still going to feel challenging, but it's going to be easier for you to have time for yourself. And that would probably be the best thing. Like if you're still struggling with family, it'd be better to kind of have some time to yourself this week and work through your own problems until things kind of start lifting a little bit with that and things start like kind of opening up. It might take a while for a lot of us, but we'll get there. It's a very uncomfortable feeling right now. Some of it might be dealing with money. A lot of these things is basically just realizing self-worth and how tied into family it is. Even if we didn't realize it before. Then, kind of moving along, we're going to go to Jupiter. So Jupiter is trining this moon. So like I said, there's a lot of things with this Gemini moon, even though, I mean, it's going to start Friday and be going into Saturday. Might even start Thursday night. I can't remember. But this energy, like I said, it's going to be starting off the weekend. We're going to be feeling this energy. And by the time it gets to the actual equinox, solstice. By the time it gets to the equinox, it's almost like we're going to be having a release. And with Jupiter here, it's like if we've been working on these things, like, the self thing where we've been having time to ourselves and really focusing and working on these things, it's pretty much like we're going to get rewarded for it. There's going to be a lot of benefits that come with this. And once again, this is a trine. So this is like very easy flowing energy. And for a lot of us that have been waiting for something to come through, this could definitely open it up. If you do anything special with the equinox, this could be just, really paying attention to your own routines, because this energy with everything going to it, because this moon actually probably is one of the more aspected planets in this energy. Our routines, especially when it comes to our subconscious routines, are really going to be highlighted right now, because we might not even realize that we're doing certain things that are embedded in us. And that can make it difficult, because with this being such a late degree, this has happened for a while. And having the healing at such early degrees, it's almost like being at the beginning stages of things that have been literally repeated like a broken record for a very long time. And it's like we're being made to look at it. And this can be a little challenging, because it's not like we're necessarily gonna be feeling like we're getting rest from it, so to speak. Because if you're putting your time into other family members' issues, co-workers' issues, siblings' issues, childhood friends possibly popping back up and just dumping issues on you, if you're doing that, you're pretty much taking away from the time you could be giving to yourself right now. And it's going to make it challenging if your energy is going everywhere else to even focus on yourself. And that's going to create this atmosphere where, even though this square is happening, it's between Aries and Gemini energy, which is energy that gets along very well. So it's almost like this is something that will happen easily. Even though squares represent challenges, this is more of the challenge of not allowing yourself to do this. Especially when it comes to your own creativity and when it comes to relationships, because even though these are in Aries, we still have Venus at the last little bit of Pisces over here, which is still squaring with the moon. Having this in the middle of it is throwing our relationships for a loop, basically, with this moon. Because a lot of things, because there are relationships that we had, like I said, that if we're giving our time into, we're putting our energy into. If it's a lot of gossip, with this being third house energy, small town gossip, things like that, if you're putting all your energy in these kind of relationships, it's pretty much just going to keep adding to the difficulty. It's like you're not paying attention to how you're talking to yourself while you're doing this. Especially having Neptune in the square as well. It's like this is very easy energy to put what you deem important in other people. And that's because this value that we have, this could also be money, like be careful about people asking for money this week, because this is probably one of those things where people have issues. They might have addictions, things that they fill their time with in order to feel like, they're alive, or however they want to put it. Or if they're depressed and they're using this energy as a means to, how can I put this? To make you feel guilty about what they're going through. It's like I said, there's a lot of subconscious energy here when it comes to what you've been, what we, because this is collective energy, what we've been doing in our relationships. We could definitely be shown certain things when it comes to money or our own worth with these relationships. Because if you're paying attention and you're starting to do this inner work, or you've been doing it and you're taking your time and really paying attention to the effect this is having on you, people are going to show up and test the boundaries, because Neptune and Pisces energy is all about that boundary line being very elusive. So it's knowing that your self-worth should not come at the expense of your boundaries or your money for that. Like if you're putting up boundaries about people taking your money and they are being like, they're just completely ignoring it, this is definitely like a test of that. Like saying like, what are you gonna put up with? Are you gonna allow the same internal dialogue to keep taking over and allowing these things to happen? Because like I said, even though these are usually energies, the Pisces and Gemini energy, usually they square each other, but the degree that this Mercury's at, there's a trine happening here, like subconscious talk, literally, because this is in Pisces, with the moon, and it's like our emotions are so buried in it. Like this is a daily thing that we do. It's like on automatic. This is what we're doing subconsciously. And there's such an emphasis on this. Now, obviously on a personal level, this is going to be playing out in different ways depending on where it's sitting. But if we were going to look at this on a mass scale, this could easily be that there are things being revealed when it comes to the service industry. It could also be mental health, for one, with this subconscious energy, with this house of health. It could, like, emotional issues as well could be highlighted, and that's why it's going to be harder on a public scale with this Pluto energy. Like, people aren't going to be comfortable. Especially when it comes to medical institutions, law institutions, things like that. Some people just aren't going to feel safe. They're going to have a big lack of security, especially when it comes to the foundation of certain businesses or business archetypes, I should say. And it's going to make it difficult. Like, some people just really have this rigid mindset where they are not going to change their minds about certain things, and it's definitely going to have Uranus is very unpredictable, so it's going to create this change that people really aren't expecting in foundations when it comes to certain things. Like, some groups of people are not going to be happy. And there's going to be it probably more than likely deals with money. I don't know why I keep hearing stocks, because I know nothing about stocks. But if this has anything to do with law or government and having money and things being sent, like I said, I am not well versed in that. But however, if you are well versed in it and it makes sense to you, go for it. But there's just going to be a lot of changes with that are getting kind of spurred on this week. It's going to be long time changes too. This isn't going to be small changes, especially when it comes to the face of a lot of businesses. There might be certain entities changing their face or putting up a new kind of advertising campaign. There could be something like that. But having this energy is almost like trying to do something where everyone, this could be like a lot of things that have been subliminal and people realizing, like coming to the realization, hey, this has been really buried and it's not true. And people are starting to actually think a little more outside the box, unlike the others that are remaining completely rigid. But obviously, having that isn't going to go over well. There's going to be a lot of conflict with that, especially communication wise. There's just going to be this thing where people are saying shit they're going to regret. Like, it's just going to be flying out of their mouths. People are not going to be understanding why it's flying out of their mouths, and it's because they're very insecure. Definitely word vomit is probably the best way to put this. And it's not going to be happening on this level where people that have guilty consciences are able to process it first. It's just going to fly out, and they're going to be trying to do something after to redeem it, but it's just going to further mess it up. If you're in good I cannot talk today, conscience, if you're in that energy, basically what's going to happen is more than likely you're going to start putting your foot down with boundaries, and you're not going to be afraid to say certain things, whereas before, like, it was really embedded. It's like you're learning how to put your foot down with people, and that could easily be on a more massive scale where there are groups that are finally like setting up boundaries, like, we really are offended by this certain thing, but I don't feel necessarily like it's gatekeeping, so to speak, like some of these energies can be. This is more of people needing to talk about how, like I was saying, companies, certain institutions are being represented, and them needing to be represented in an honest light. Because it's almost like seeing beneath the surface, very beneath the surface, with this being the moon and Pluto energy that's causing this. Definitely could change a lot of things dealing with health in our daily way that we literally get around and do certain things. Some people could be going back to work, could be some of this, especially if it's in more nurturing fields or medical fields. There could be a lot more I don't know where this is coming from, but it could actually be something to do with fertility for some people. I don't know where that's coming from. It could just be certain groups, or there could be something coming out that helps with fertility. That'd be pretty cool for people. But there's a lot of things here about like science and things being changed on that scale, but it's not something that's comfortable. Like, people are very uncomfortable with this area being changed because it's ideas. It's like a higher thought process or way that we store information that's being changed. This could even be there's something that changes with an internet, like a big internet institution kind of thing, or the way things are done on the internet, like more things go on the internet, more accessible, but then that makes people very uncomfortable because it's like, what about my money? I don't know why that's coming up so much. But there's a lot of this energy. It could be swindling type energy, which is why people are getting upset, is, things were supposed to be, coming fairly easy. Like, people were thinking about these things a lot. And it's like there's some kind of swindling thing going on. So that could definitely be one of the things here. But it's not going to go over well. But that in itself, I feel, is what I'm going to say about this, unless you guys have some questions about them. I don't think there are very many. I mean, unless you have natal yods that are being activated, I don't see many transiting ones that are happening. Because I already named the ones that could happen with Scorpio and Leo.